In this go-for-a-punch world in which we live, where we spend our days with SpongeBob SquarePants and our nights strolling London after midnight, you may think you've heard of everything we've yet to find. But there is more unknown in this world than you could possibly imagine. This is lesser-known lost media.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is I, your host, Mr. Sean, here with Volume 18. Wow, we've really done a lot of these, of lesser-known lost media, the show where I cover lost media that you just don't hear about all that often. A little brief channel announcement, update, whatever, before we get started. Once again, the winner of the last miniature giveaway did not claim their miniature within the 7-day time frame, so that will be going up for sale. Guys, if you enter one of the miniature giveaways, you gotta watch all of the videos because you never know which one I'm going to announce the winner in. Typically it will be announced the following week after entry ends, but you just never know which one it's going to be. So if you enter to win the mini, make sure you're watching the videos, because only by watching will you know whether or not you've won. Not trying to be sneaky here, but these giveaways are a way to get more views, so you have to watch if you want to win. That's all I'm saying. Again, if you're new to this show, we do 4 pieces of lost media that we start with, all good and family friendly, that you just don't see covered all that much on YouTube, and then we take a brief ad break, and then we go into the final not safe for work piece of lost media, because that's the Mr. Sean difference. As always, guys, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead right now. Before we get into it, just click that like button and then maybe hit the subscribe button. Trying to get 100 likes within the first 7 days of a video, something this channel has not done yet. We are now at over 450 subscribers, and when we get to 500, we'll do another miniature giveaway. And with that being said, let's get to today's video. Alright, up first we have Saints Row 4, the lost build of a cancelled action-adventure game sequel. Now, I know that its most recent entry has not been great, and technically the spiritual sequel that came before that, Agents of Mayhem, also not great, but I really did love Saints Row 2 and Saints Row 3. Saints Row 4, the one we actually got, was kinda okay. I liked that they brought Johnny Gat back, but it was just a little bit too much, and then Gat Outta Hell was just terrible. But the original build of Saints Row Part 4, also known as Saints Row 4 Prime by the developers, was the original true sequel to Saints Row the Third that was going to be released on the PS3 and Xbox 360 before it was scrapped due to the financial troubles that Volition publisher THQ was going through. Wow, that's a tongue twister. So the version of Saints Row 4 that was released was an extended version of a planned DLC expansion for Saints Row the Third titled Enter the Dominatrix. So, original development for Saints Row Part 4 started a few months after Saints Row the Third, and right after THQ entered into its struggling financial situation. The game would have been set in a brand new city yet again, and would be a direct continuation of the events after Saints Row the Third. The plot would have revolved around Johnny Gat, who had been killed off in the last game. Again, the one thing I liked about the one we got of Saints Row 4 was they did bring back Gat, because he is my favorite. But Gat, who had been killed off in the last game, being brought back to life by being cloned. But the new clone of Johnny Gat would have been evil, and would have brought back history's most evil people, such as Genghis Khan, Cleopatra, and even Joseph Stalin. Was Cleopatra evil? I need to read a history book. These evil tyrants would have been the leaders of gangs who occupied territory in the new city for the players to take out, just like every Saints Row game before. The game would have also featured new mechanics such as a proper dedicated cover system, as well as a parkour system, which has been a feature that every Saints Row game tried to introduce. A fleshed-out weapon customization system with detachments also was planned. Notably, there were to be no superpowers featured in the game, unlike the final retail version of Saints Row 4. Saints Row Part 4 shares a lot of planned ideas that made it into the final version, such as a monster truck and a side-scrolling beat-em-up mission. So again, as stated before, the main reason it was cancelled was due to THQ wanting a game that would sell in order to keep the company afloat. THQ rejected the idea of Saints Row Part 4 and instead opted to turn an existing Saints Row project and turned that into Saints Row 4. So Volition turned an in-development DLC expansion pack titled Enter the Dominatrix, and quickly turned that into Saints Row 4. This new game, Saints Row 4, added new elements such as superpowers and more referential humor to sci-fi and pop culture. Another reason why Saints Row Part 4 was cancelled was due to the amount of work it was going to take to create a game whilst the next generation of consoles would be releasing around the same time. It would have been a bad decision financially to release a brand new game for outdated hardware. Not necessarily. I mean, we have seen companies have success with that before, but when your entire financial stability is riding on this one game, I get it. The final version of Saints Row 4 retains barely any of the story ideas or plot from Saints Row Part 4, and recycles a lot of assets from Saints Row the Third, which is expected as it is essentially a DLC pack turned into a full game. There are no current playable versions of any of these ideas besides assets left over in the E3 version of Saints Row the Third, and pitch videos made for internal use only, which was shown in Volition's developer live streams. So I really wish that they had taken this idea, and when they redid Saints Row for the current gen, like I have it on the PS5, and it's okay. It's a little boring, a little generic. I wish they would have taken this idea, and that's what they would have finally made, because that sounds like a pretty cool idea, and I will admit that Saints Row 4 was when the series really started to go downhill, and now we can all kind of see why. At number 2, we have Knights of the Zodiac, a partially lost Deke English dub of the Saint Seiya anime series, 2003 to 2004. This entry has actually been suggested a lot, so I have been trying to incorporate more fan suggestions into this series, and that's where this one is from. Knights of the Zodiac is the international title for the Saint Seiya media franchise that was created by Masami Kurumada, debuting in the pages of Weekly Shonen Jump in 1986. The series later sprawled out to include multiple spin-offs, sequels, and anime adaptations. The first of which was produced by Toei Animation for 114 episodes on the TV Asahi network between 1986 and 1989. After achieving great success internationally in French, Portuguese, and Spanish-speaking markets, the original anime series was brought to English audiences in the early 2000s. One of those attempts included an edited dub produced by Deke Entertainment, which received only a partial home video release. Over the years, this dub has become infamous for its poor visual editing, primarily with the blood being recolored into something else other than red, questionable dialogue changes, with removing almost any mention of death in the series and replacing it with terms related to sleep being a notable example, and Stuart Stone's role as Cygnus Hoyoga, or Swan Hoyoga, in the Deke dub, being too out of character and sounding too similar to that of a stereotypical surfer boy. So of the 40 episodes that exist of this dub, only 28 have ever been released on DVD. However, 5 more volumes were planned, but were cancelled for unknown reasons, which resulted in the remaining 12 episodes becoming lost. Due to Deke Entertainment folding in 2008, this dub has long been out of circulation, and therefore it's extremely hard to come by, especially when compared to other dubs such as ADV and the Sentai Filmworks dubs, which are easily available online via torrents. While there are clips of the various episodes on YouTube, any full episodes that get uploaded are quickly taken down by Toei Animation. Of the missing 12 episodes since then that were not released on DVD, we have found episodes 31 and 32, but however they are in poor quality, and episode 30 is only partially found and also in poor quality. I've never seen this show. I know it's quite popular, but I do think it's kind of funny just how bad companies were at dubbing anime for America in like the 90s, the 80s, the 2000s, the early 2000s, and now just how much work goes into making sure anime dubs are quality. And it is kind of funny that there was a time when it was like anime was just this fringe thing that nobody really cared about, so they kind of just phoned it in. And in some cases, you get like ghost stories, which is great because they were just given free reign, and in other times you get something that people remember fondly from their childhoods, but looking back, it kind of sucks. At number 3, we have the lost reference photograph for the cover art of the first-person shooter game, Doom, circa 1993. So I don't really need to tell you what Doom is. It's only one of the most popular first-person shooters of all time that was originally released in December of 1993 for the MS-DOS. Hey, but I just told you anyway. That's the Mr. Sean difference. But, you know, one of the big aspects of the success of Doom for its commercial success was its cover art illustrated by Don Ivan Punchatz, which showcased the protagonist, named the Doom Guy, holding his own against a relentless relentless hordes of demons. In July of 2017, id Software co-founder, designer, and programmer, the infamous John Romero, revealed that the cover art's lead portion was based on a series of reference photographs featuring him as the Doom guy. So by mid-1993, significant work was still being undertaken in the game's development. It used to take a lot less time to actually finish a game. While the artists Adrian Carmack and Kevin Cloud were busy working on the game's textures, the designer and programmer John Romero hired Punshots to create the box art. To provide useful references for the cover's lead portion, he brought along a male body model to portray Doom Guy in a series of poses. Romero and other id employees assisted by constructing a prop plasma gun for the model to pose with, and explained they wanted him to depict the Marine firing down from a hill against an infinite horde of demons. For reasons unclear, the model opted to remove his shirt for the poses. Alas, despite the model's enthusiasm, the initial 10-minute photo shoot kind of proved underwhelming. Romero explained that the model's gun poses simply failed to produce the required cool factor. Despite frequently instructing the model on what he wanted for the cover, the model simply could not visually replicate it, and this frustrated Romero, who, that seems to be a thing for him. So apparently Romero soon realized that if he couldn't verbally describe what he wanted, he could probably display it himself. So then he took his shirt off and replaced the model, altering the gun placement and proclaiming that, "This is what I'm talking about!" When it came to the proposed scene, Punshots agreed, taking several photos in quick succession. While demoted, the model still fulfilled the critical role of a demon grabbing onto the Doom Guy. So after some gun placement changes and having the model grab Romero's leg and arms, Punshots eventually settled on a photo showing the model grabbing Romero's right arm, deeming with consensus reached that it was the best pose. So soon he produced the famous cover art, and later also provided a Doom illustration for Electronic Gaming Monthly. So while Romero talked about this story in an interview in 2017, despite providing extensive detail, he ultimately decided not to upload any photos from the shoot to either his website or on Twitter. While certain news websites have contacted Romero for the photographs, as of today, they remain publicly unavailable, and it is unclear whether Romero or id Software even still retain possession of these photographs. Nevertheless, if Romero does still have access, there's a good chance that we will see them someday, because he has also previously uploaded unseen art from the games. This included team photographs and Doom art in December of 2014 to mark the 21st anniversary of the game's release. So yeah, Romero is a bit of a controversial character, not so much for Doom. Everybody loves him for that, but things like Daikatana and all that. But it is clear that he does love his original creation, so he might just be waiting for another anniversary, and then we'll finally see these photos. And I think that's kind of cool, because, everybody knows the Doom cover, but I never really stopped to think that there might have actually been, photographs that were taken in order to make this image happen. So that's pretty cool. Number 4, we have the lost original Darth Vader audio from the I Am Your Father scene of Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back in 1980. So, spoiler alert, if somehow you don't know the big reveal that was in Empire Strikes Back, Episode 5 of Star Wars, which is considered to be generally the best film of the original trilogy, where Darth Vader looks at Luke and says, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. And Luke goes, "He told me enough. He told me you killed him." And Vader goes, "No, I am your father." Basically one of the most iconic lines in cinema. However, they really wanted to keep this plot twist under wraps, so they actually filmed alternative audio in an effort to keep it from being revealed. So when they actually filmed this scene, that's not what was said, and that was later added in. So when Star Wars A New Hope came out, nobody thought it was going to be successful, but it was a huge hit. So 3 years later, the sequel, Empire Strikes Back, was coming out, and it was the subject of intense media and fan scrutiny. Rumors of a dramatic plot twist had begun to circulate well in advance of filming and the final scene, and the producers feared it leaking out to the public to the extent that they refused to divulge it even to the cast and crew until absolutely necessary. As part of this effort, the scripted reveal handed out to all was, "You don't know the truth. Obi-Wan killed your father." And that's the line the scene was filmed with an impressed Hamill duly reacting with shock and horror in full belief that it was the final version. This also incidentally explains a mild non sequitur in the finished scene when Luke screams, "That's impossible," which makes more sense to a reaction to the decoy reveal. It was only afterwards, privately, that Hamill was told by director Irvin Kershner that what the actual line would be. Since Vader's costume, as worn and performed on set by David Prowse, did not show lip movements, the final voiceover would, luckily enough, be recorded separately. It was a simple matter to swap out his line without reshooting the scene. Hamill did, however, still have to film the subsequent short scene of Luke hearing Darth Vader's Force call and responding "Father," hence the need to bring him into the loop. So only Hamill and then James Earl Jones, who voiced Darth Vader, they were the only two people who knew this of the cast, and they had to keep it hidden for 1.5 years prior to the film's premiere. According to Hamill, he at least was under stern warning from Lucas and Kershner, who pointed out that if the truth did leak ahead of time, he would be the prime suspect. I guess James Earl Jones was just considered too much of a professional to let that slip. Also, in 2017, when Hamill was doing an interview on the Graham Norton show as part of the promotional tour for Star Wars The Last Jedi, he revealed the original line, and the rest of the cast being completely surprised at the premiere, most notably Harrison Ford looking at him and going, "Hey kid, you didn't fucking tell me that." But so, if we know that this is what they originally recorded, surely that this line must be available to be heard on, one of George Lucas's special edition re-releases, must be in the Disney vault, it's gotta be, you can probably find this on YouTube, right? Well, no. The audio of the original line, either spoken by Prowse on set or recorded by Jones, is currently lost. It's rather surprising considering it's a key spot in Star Wars history. Given this, it is possible that the film/audio does still exist somewhere in Lucasfilm/Disney's vaults, waiting for the right moment to be released. Meanwhile, there are a few rather crude recreations floating about online, so if you think you've seen this scene with the original audio, you haven't. That's someone else making it themselves and putting it up on YouTube. Alright guys, before we get into that final piece of lost media, again, this channel is the way that I advertise my business, Chimera Miniatures, so if you just let me take a minute or two to tell you about it. I mean, I sell all kinds of custom miniatures that I sell on eBay, Etsy, and Mercari. This is everything from the Titties on Middies collection, where I repaint NSFW HeroClix. I do several custom kit bashes. I'm actually currently working on a custom commission project right now for someone who wanted me to make the cast of The Boys, and I'm currently working on that, so feel free to reach out to me for a commission. I also sell collectibles, be they Squishmallows, anime figures, micro machines, action figures, whatever I can find and think might be worth selling, it might be up there. You never know what you're going to find, but just, if you do have a moment, please be sure to check these links out. A lot of my minis, very affordable. On eBay, a lot of them start at $5, and if you buy more than one, especially on eBay, it's very easy for me to adjust shipping. The more you buy, the less I charge you to ship them out. So I'm always trying to give you a good deal. I definitely want you to get most bang for your buck, but hey, if buying something's not your thing, I do have a Patreon. I'd be so honored if you would join it. I have 3 tiers. There's a $3, a $5, and a $10. Each include different things, but all in all, very reasonable, charged once a month. I currently do have one patron. I would love to have a couple more. So again, if you like this channel, if you want to see it thrive, be sure not only to check out these links, maybe join the Patreon, maybe buy a mini, but always remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And with that being said, let's get to the final entry. Alright guys, for our final entry in this video, we have Medical Island, a partially found English dub of a Korean comedy horror web cartoon circa 2006. Medical Island is a South Korean American online comedy horror animated series produced by Margaret Dean, Michael Polis, and Studio Animal. This show used primarily flash animation, but would also make use of CGI. All of its 18 episodes are shorts, and according to Studio Animal's websites, episodes 1 through 8 were released in 2003, episodes 9 through 18 were released in 2005. Episodes 1 through 8 and 18 don't have dialogue, while episodes 9 through 17 do. So, the premise of the show is that it is set in a prison-like island medical facility controlled by Dr. Franken. The facility captures people and modifies them with experiments that alter their bodies. The facility is staffed by a legion of cloned nurses, specialists, and zombies. Many patients try to escape the island and/or attack the staff of Medical Island. It is unsuitable to minors due to its haunting scenes and depiction of gore and male genitalia. So, most times you don't even want to look at a dick, but when you're told you can't look at that dick with an English dub, suddenly that's lost media and that's a dick you want to see and English words you want to hear, I suppose. So, Warner Bros. Online acquired the distribution rights to the show. In May of 2006, it was reported that they made a deal with 180 Solutions to release the show on the controversial adware website Zango.com. Viewers had to install Zango's ad software before they could view the show. By the end of July, Warner Bros. Pulled its content from Zango due to lack of a third-party certification on Zango's business practices that did not meet Warner Bros. Standards. By March of 2009, the show was viewable on Crackle.com. It was nominated for MIPCOM's 2006 mobile TV screenings and awards for the Best Original Made-for-Mobile Film or Video Content category. And the complete series in its Korean dub was uploaded to YouTube by Studio Animal, and while it is still mentioned on Sony Crackle, none of the episodes can play anymore. The YouTube user Are You Taken Fool did upload the English dubs of episodes 9, 10, and 17, all of which have the Crackle watermark. Episode 16 is available on Metatube, and summaries of all episodes on Zango have been preserved on the Internet Archive. 2006 was a crazy time for the internet and video content. 2006 is actually when I graduated high school, got my first laptop, personal laptop, the first time I ever had unfettered access to the internet without my parents looking over my shoulder. Yes, I grew up in a kind of sheltered household, so to speak. But there are a ton of things here like this where companies were trying to figure out, okay, how do we use the internet to make money on videos? Little short videos, questionable quality. You also, how do we make money off of it? What are the guidelines? We're not getting the censorship like we do if we want to put something on TV. You couldn't have shown male genitals on Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, or even MTV, but hey, the internet, everything's fair game. So you had a lot of stuff like this, and unfortunately, because people didn't really quite know what they were doing, if it was going to be successful, or if anyone would care, almost 20 years from then, there were not as many efforts made to preserve all of it. A lot of early internet stuff, and we're talking even in the 90s to the early 2000s, has not been preserved nearly the way that it should, and that's why you're going to see a lot of instances of it on this show and on other lost media shows. And if you were fortunate enough to have grabbed these videos because you were a savvy little internet sleuth back in the day, great time to upload them. Let people know that these things are still out there. And again, that's why I like to showcase the lesser known stuff, because while everybody is still trying desperately to find Smash Fest, so they can watch people in Nintendo mascot suits wail on each other, we could probably be finding all kinds of stuff that people just didn't know anybody was looking for it. And hey guys, that's the video. I can't believe we've already done 18 of these. I'll have to do something extra special when we hit 20, so I'll be thinking on that. As always, I want to thank you so much. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I want to give a shout out to my favorite patron, Arthur D. Gonzalez Martin. Thank you so much for being a member of the Beta Club, helping me build a beta tomorrow. And if any of you would like to get your name shouted out at the end of some of my videos, head on over. Be sure to check out the various tiers I have. The $10 tier does get you the verbal shout out and on the scrolling list at the end. But if you just want to be on that list, that scrolling list, that only costs you $5. And if you just want to help out, you can join the $3 tier. And beyond that, maybe check the minis, maybe buy a mini. But again, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Be sure to view. Be sure to share this video around, and be sure to come back next time. And so until that next time, everybody, I'm Mr. Sean. This is Chimera Miniatures, and I sincerely hope that you alpha great day and an even beta tomorrow. Bye-bye.